Half a league, half a league, half a league onward. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward. All in the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the light brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the light brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldiers knew someone had blundered. There's not a reason why, there's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Storm that was shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed on the sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air. Sabering the gunners there, all the world wondered. Charged through the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at the shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They then had fought so well, back from the jaws of hell. Oh, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, what a charge they made! Oh, what a charge they made, all the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the light brigade, honor the light brigade, noble 600. Noble 600, noble 600, charge of the light brigade.
Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Eagles and Rifles yet again. We're going to be working on the campaign. In particular, hello phone. Let me guess, is it Twitch telling me that I can manage my thing from my phone? Of course it is, because Twitch has literally no sense of right or wrong. Thanks, Twitch. So, what is the plan today? Well, today the attempt, anyway, the dream is we're going to see if I can't wrap up campaigns, which inadvertently I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to put in advancement in there as well. So pretty much this is going to be its own thing. I just have to put all of this together. But what did I do beforehand? Well, in between things. Well, where was it? Oh, we have intensity fixed up. Where were you? Oh yeah, well, I put in the artillery. Artillery functions effectively as a method to deal quite a bit of damage, like really quickly, because all that happens is, depending on the number of guns that are present, they raise the intensity by 1 step. So it goes from double, triple, quadruple, and then quintuple damage very easily. And you can also get a lot more damage a lot quicker as well. Like, you can shred units with artillery. And looking at this, they act effectively the exact same as normal soldiers, except their range is insane. I also put in the combat situations, things like getting flanked from the side, having overwhelming numbers. What happens if you're disorganized? What happens if you get ambushed? Just little things that'll pop up inevitably. Put in weather conditions. I thought that would be important. A lot of them are all units are considered concealed, or all cohesion is increased. All cohesion damage is increased by 2 if it's just shitty conditions. Let's see. Cold weather increases by 4. Burning heat increases all stamina expenditures by 1. That's really it. Nothing too out there. Put in the idea of night fighting. Put in the side rule of, hey, if you're firing into a crowd, you have to split the number of successes in half. Which can mean you might be killing a lot of your own guys as well. But welcome to firing into literally a crowd of people and expecting to hit no one. Fix up the traits. The only really odd trait that kind of sticks out is... where was it? Savage isn't used. The entire idea is like you're using outdated weapons. They do the same amount of damage, but they're just... you lower the intensity because usually it's harder to hit. Like, if you want to use bows and arrows, it would have the savage, part on it. It would just lower the intensity by 1. Where was the other one? Unwieldy's a little bit awkward. We have armor. Oh yeah, added the exterior equipment. I actually couldn't find that much. I'd actually referenced Napoleon Total War quite a bit for it. Fun fact, Napoleon Total War is still probably the best Napoleonic game out there. And the idea is camouflage, if revealed from being concealed, can reconceal themselves once per battle. Canteens, cold weather gear, literally just fucking mines that deal 1d6 times 3 casualties. And I put is indiscriminate, the idea being if any unit stands on the space, it will explode. So if you are kind of not really paying attention and you have to charge through that area, there's a chance the mines will go off and kill your own men. Stakes. Yeah, no, cavalry charging into or through the space, lose your casualty bonus, charge bonus. And here are the artillery pieces. Hopefully you like artillery pieces. I had to use the French system. The can't even remember the top of my head, but technically these aren't 4-pounder, 8-pounder, 12-pounder the way we think of it. It's the French system, which is a little bit lighter than what we would traditionally think. But I'm lazy and just want to use this because this is actually formalized. But, 4-8, 12-pounder, 6-inch howitzers, the 24-pounders, and you can kind of see the range on these monsters. Yeah, these things are insane, have really long range, and that's why they're scary. Because a 24-pounder siege artillery can hit you from across the map. It's going to be difficult for them to, don't get me wrong, but they can, and they will, if they can actually aim at you, but you're not really using a 24-pounder to shoot up, infantry. You're using 8-pounders, 12-pounders, or even 4-pound, even 12-pounders can hit you from 10 spaces away on a 4-up, which is deadly. Mostly because if any of them hit you, you're going to be taking a lot of casualties. I also put in rocket artillery and mortars. Mortars were kind of going the way of the dodo during this era, and rocket artillery was really weird. And we also have all our damages, all our different guns. The most common one is round. It always increases the intensity by 1 step, whatever you shoot it. The base idea is just like, ta-da. Cannister can absolutely shred you if you get shot with it. Carcass, I should actually lower range by 2. Carcass doesn't do any damage, however, all cohesion of the units lost in space is tripled if it hits. And then you also have things like shrapnel, reduce range by 2, but raise intensity by 2. Ta-da! Yeah, picture getting shot with shrapnel. It ain't fun. So that's what kind of occurred there. Did I add anything else? Did I add anything else? No, I do not believe I did. Yeah. Do the campaigns. Alright, so the idea behind campaign. So the core idea behind the campaign is it's kind of in addition to it being the campaign, the thing that you are playing, it's also kind of why you are doing the things you're doing. It's a military campaign. So that's kind of why that's named the way it is. Okay. The forces, the Ogre companies are rarely deployed outside of wartime. A great let's see, what am I looking for? Wool. People are pinging me for some reason. Companies rarely deployed outside wartime or great conflicts. They are called, however, well, they are ready. Campaign doubles as both the key factor, doubles as both the deciding factor for a game of Eagles and Rifles, as well as what the Ogre companies are taking part in. Starting a game of Eagles and Rifles. Determine what kind of campaign the commanders will be taking part in. So, what we're going to be doing with this is we have to effectively... How do I want to do this? So, we put this here. I actually usually don't try to cite put the name of the actual game in, but this one's kind of necessary. Just Eagles and Rifles. It's easy enough to type. So, the major types of campaigns. So, we have to do a military expedition. So, this is a basic campaign, effectively. The idea of Ogre company is hired to fight in a war or series of battles for their benefactor. So this is pretty much like a smaller campaign, being like, this is just a series of fights. This is, I wouldn't say the Peninsular campaign, but this would be like, yeah. Let's see. Ironically, this would be things like the coalition wars, the first two. Yeah, it'd be stuff like this. This is what you'd be fighting. Okay. So, hard to fight war, a series of battles. The benefactor. Grand Campaign. Series of larger military expeditions. Larger of larger. So actually we need Schleswig. Fucking Danes. Holy shit. Yeah, like this would be the so we have the Schleswig-Holstein war. Like they're not these major like years long, like it's not a decade long or anything. It's like so this lasted from 64, it lasted 8 months. Yeah. So you have the the Revolutionary Wars would be pretty accurate there, and then we have the strict Napoleonic conflicts. So if we go to Napoleonic Wars, this would be it would be the Wars of the Third Coalition. Welcome to Napoleonic Wars, otherwise known as the Second War of the Third War, the Fifth War. Series of larger military expeditions. A series of years. The Napoleonic Wars in general are the Grand Campaign, and it would be like the War of the Third Coalition, the War of the Fourth Coalition. Actually, I should call that the Coalition Wars. And then we can probably have, it would be the, this. Pretty much it was the Post-Peninsular War. Guerrilla Wars. Actually, regular warfare. The Yoga Company is hired or tasked with defending the country from either irregulars or being the irregulars themselves to take, and we'll just call it the Post-Peninsular Wars. Actually, it would just be the Peninsula Wars. Peninsula War. Let's see, the Grand Campaign, the Coalition Wars, the Irregular War. It would then be... Oh. Mercenary jobs. Company rents themselves out. Oh, to the highest bidder. fight and die for the cause of others. So we have that, military expeditions, grand campaigns, regular warfare, mercenary jobs. We would also have colonial expeditions. The oil company has been formed. Or has been purchased or has been contracted to fight for the colonies in a series of border clashes with natives and other colonies. What kind of campaigns? The campaign will affect two key aspects. Will be affect two key ideas. Will affect two key parts of the experience. What the commanders will be doing, as well as the acquisition of RQs through the campaign. In short, actually, overall, there are, let me post this, Control-Shift-7, there are 5, okay. There are 5 major kinds of campaigns to be, 5 major kinds of campaigns to take part in. With their own requirements and problems associated with them. And then we put insert, footnote, and then we have this list is by no means definitive. If the game master do I call the GM anything special? Yeah, it's called Game Master. Choo-choo. If the Game Master wishes, they can make any kind of campaign they wish. Control-Shift-8, so military expedition, the basic campaign. What we can do. For example, the Schleswig-Holstein, no, god damn it. Every time. So, insert footnote, the coalition wars. The regular warfare. Peninsula War. Actually, I mean, East India Company. Was the East India Company operating at this time? I believe they were. Yeah, company rule. Insert footnote. This would be, you could technically kind of fold this into the colonial expeditions, but I'm going to put it here just for the idea. The Indian, what would you call this? East Indian Wars? Actually, this would be the East India Company Wars. What would you call this? The Anglo-Indian Wars. What would be the Frontier Wars? Is that what they were called? Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Give me a moment, everyone. Hello, I am back. So, yeah, this was, and I kind of came up, the colonial expedition would be the Frontier Wars. I just call it the American and Australian Frontier Wars to get a better idea of like what it actually is. But let's see. Actually, the Ogre Company hired by a major nation. Their name for a long conflict. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to break each of these down. So, military expeditions and grand campaigns. So, these two are the most vanilla experience. War is common, and the military expedition and grand campaign are the most common kinds of wars. These Campaigns focus around a single conflict between nations, ranging from small scale conflict, from small scale skirmishes, military expeditions, to nations, to country spanning, continent spanning death marches, grand campaign. The key difference is that, actually, one thing is, when determining military expeditions, are primarily based around, how do I want to word this? Single larger conflict in an area, as trying to take hold or control a region, the country, while the grand campaign can span dozens of battlefields and takes the army far from home. The army far from home, so yeah. The army itself, who our company is attached to, will have a set of RQ, requisition points, effectively, to spend on upkeep and keeping themselves alive in foreign territory, replacing losses. Actually, we got signaling, so representing supply lines, and keeping these supply lines, which they will share with the Ogre Company. As the war drags on, the RQs that are received every year will gradually. Actually, do you want to do it yearly or do we want to do it monthly? Probably monthly. Actually, at the beginning of every month, the army receives its designated amount of RQs to be spent on its forces, as well as pay the Ogre Company its fair share. For example, a army receives 250 RQ every month in maintenance. So we can actually say, let's say it receives 500 RQ every month in maintenance costs, but it only pays out 50 RQ. Actually, let's say 15 RQ. It only pays 250 RQ to the Ogre Company for maintenance and replacements. this is also the only way to actually improve yourself is RQs. Especially when you get up here. I'm gonna have to actually fix this up, make the costs go up gradually. Like, cost is, you're never going to have enough. That's one of the core issues, is that you never will have enough RQ, because you're always going to be taking losses, and like big bad fights, like you may not even actually replace anything with. Should problems rise, the army may not be able to fully. Actually, however, should supplies get cut off, or the army suffers greatly, there may be no RQ per month, meaning that there will replacement soldiers, equipment, or hope, or training. So pretty much the core idea of military expeditions is that you are fighting, you're always receiving a little bit, kind of a pittance for it, but the main army is always going to be the army you're attached to is going to be receiving its amount. You're pretty much getting paid in RQ. That's kind of it. Actually, I'm going to reword this. The Ogre Company receives its payment in RQ. And in RQ, for example, start of the month, Ogre Company in total receives 250 RQs, which they can use to purchase new equipment, train additional soldiers, or bank for a rainy day. But if it's one of those ideas that if you take casualties, let's say you take a dozen men, let's say 30 of your men die. Now, that's going to be 30 of your RQs gone, because you got to spend that back, get that back. That's where things get a little bit complicated, mostly if everyone starts losing men. Train new equipment, train additional soldiers, or bank for a rainy day. Should company be cut off from supplies, or the country begins to lose the conflict, the RQs per month will gradually deplete, leaving the Yoga Company with little to work with. It is a game of attrition and managing resources. Always starts fine, but as the war drags on, people get hungry. People will start to get hungry and want to get paid for their troubles. By the end of a long grand campaign, the Ogre Company may be a fraction of its original size. Yeah. So this also kind of factors into what you as a game master are seeing when you want to do things. So, for example, like a mission here would be like, hey, defend our supply, defend our supply lines. That's a very important thing that you have to do, because if you fail to cut off your supply lines, you get less RQ, which is your advancement. You want to get better troops, you're going to need RQ. You keep failing, yeah, you're not getting much. Like that's kind of the issue. You're constantly losing things, and you have to do like it's wars. And the thing is, what you should always know is that as an ogre company, you are expendable. You dying is not their problem. So maybe you want to fall back. Do you really want to fight this war? And sometimes that could be the entire almost conflict, where you have to make a decision. Like, yeah, we're going to win this fight, but we've taken triple the losses we needed, and we can't replace them now. We're down men. We've lost strength. Or, hey, we've taken like we've won the war, we've won the fight, and we've not taken as many casualties. Maybe we push our advantage. Maybe we drain them a little bit more. Always that back and forth. Probably when I get to advanced campaigns, I can do a little bit more like, yeah, each country has a war chest that they have to draw from to actually pay everyone. Maybe a fraction of its original size and strength. So that's how. The thing is, you gotta buy your fucking guns again. You don't get Scardy equipment. Nah, you gotta buy that shit. So if you buy 100 new men, you gotta buy all of their muskets as well. And getting cut off in the Russian winter will kill you. So let's see, we have to do irregular warfare. Regular warfare. Actually, we can do colonial expeditions. Actually, we can just do regular warfare and split this up. War is traditionally fought by men in the field, standing across from one another, with iron hearts and steeled resolve. However, war is hard. Sometimes the best option is to break the rules. Regular warfare is a campaign style, replicating feeling of not having enough resources to wage a full-scale war, but instead having to rely on hit-and-run tactics. And it would be tactical victories, yeah, tactical victories. Tactical versus that would be a strategic victory. That would be it. Nope, someone's pinging me. Who's pinging me? Hello. Oh, people are questioning. Oh, didn't mean to be here. Whoop. People are asking questions. We need a strategery victory. It would be strategic over tactical victories. I should not have drank that soda. Yeah. I drank a little bit too much today. My mom took me out and wanted to buy me something nice because she's sad she can't do more for my birthday that's coming up. And I'm like, oh, I'll have this really thick beer, and I'll have like another, it was like coconut truffle stout. Really good going down. Holy shit. My entire head's been hurting all day, and I haven't been feeling good. So I'm like, oh, I'll get a Coke or something just to help. And like, oh, God, I forgot I don't drink soda that often. Let's see, regular warfare. Regular warfare has our company needing to long way. Locals to aid in their escapades. The Ogre Company will begin with a set amount of RQ. And told to try not, and given general orders to either cause chaos or stop the chaos. In the countrysides. This is a campaign of solving problems, cutting costs, and gaining as much RQ from the locals as possible, but it's never quite enough. Winning hearts and minds is half the battle. The other half is dying in the hills. Which, if you ever get bored, if anyone ever does get completely bored and wants to look at something, the Peninsular War is actually really fascinating. Just by the pure amount of stuff that happened there. It's like, yeah, the Spanish were like, we can't really fight you in a strict fight. What we are going to do is fuck you. We are going to fuck your supply lines. We are going to fuck your day up, and we will kill you. Dying in the hills. Actually, what I should say is benefactors. They drip feed. Benefactors may drip feed an amount of RQ for the men if they are successful, but never expect assistance from abroad. So yeah, you're pretty much playing Spanish irregulars, which actually is that heading? Should that be heading 2? Yeah, it's heading 2. because this is heading 1 and heading 2, and then we need to do mercenary jobs. What I'll actually do, didn't mean to do that, did not mean to do that, but... So we want to do that. Colonial expeditions. Colonies. Rich in resources and low in manpower to defend their borders. Borders from an overwhelming amount of natives and foreign powers. As a colonial ogre company, the duty is to protect the frontier, manage the forces, and manage the forces and surrounding tribes and surrounding natives. Protect the frontier and manage the forces they have been given. Every month, actually what I should say is, colonial expeditions are usually large in scale, but small in number, taking place over large tracts of land with little in the way of proper infrastructure outside of a few dedicated enclaves of civilization. A small number of taking place over large tracts of land with little in the way of proper infrastructure outside of a few dedicated enclaves of civilization or friendly natives. As the Ogre Company, duty to wage war and drive back the darkness, and drive back the natives who are not as friendly or not as welcoming to their new overlords as others are. Every month, new RQ comes. A new amount of RQ will come in from the main colonial hubs, but must be used to upkeep the forts as well as keep people happy, meaning that few men and fewer resources are available for the Ogre Company to employ on the field. However, the enemy is backwards and unsophisticated until they aren't. The enemy is backwards and unsophisticated, using barbaric tactics, and unsophisticated, and actually using barbaric tactics to wage war against civilized man. Shame, they know this territory better than you. Like, one of the core ideas behind like a colonial expedition would be you are never like you are in a foreign place. There are small towns that take time to get to. If you want to get from your fort to another place, like that's a dedicated trip, and like you got to make sure that they kind of are prepared for it. Do you split your forces up? Do you moving different men? You might have that company that you have, those 3, 4, those 3 battalions of infantry and 2 squadrons or something. That might be your entire force that you're getting. You may not get anything else. You may not get cannons because the enemy doesn't have cannons. Why would they? Or you may be fighting completely different tactics against everyone else. Like, why aren't you standing in a line with the rest of us? Why are you running away? Stop running. Oh god, their cavalry is flanking us. Oh god. You will end up in a Custer's last stand if you are silly. And actually, what I should do, you will die, and everything is a lot more expensive. But again, the enemy is not as well put together as you. What I should do, where is it? Actually, I have it in a spreadsheet. I don't really need that. Basic unit types. So we want to do colonial expeditionary forces. Let's do colonial expeditionary expedition forces. 2 for 1 soldier. This would be 3 for 1 soldier. Light infantry, 2 for 1 soldier. Actually, we can probably do for light infantry like 1-to-1 soldiers because they're a little bit easier to find. Skirmishers, we would have to do 2 for 1 soldiers. Heavy cavalry is going to be about 6 for 1, 3 for 1, actually 6-to-1 cavalry. Actually, no, we'll bump that up way high. 9-to-1 cavalry, 3-to-1, and 6-to-1 cavalry. And you still have to arm. You still have to arm every single one of them, mind you. Let me see. And then we just double the cost. Yeah, I think that works. Actually, we have to put you into Velvet 12. Am I encouraging you to be a heartless monster? Yes, in this scenario, you have to effectively play as Custer. Actually, I'd probably bump you up to 3, 4, 2, 3. Bump you up to 10. Bump you up to 4. Bump you up to we'll bump you up to 7. Yeah, we put the Colonial Expedition Force here. We can put the Custer's Last Stand right there. Cool. Mercenary. The Yoga Company is by its nature mercenary in its application and approach. Under the traditional mercenary methods, the Yoga Company will be receiving a number of Yoga Company will negotiate for a job from a foreign power or local individual in a set amount of RQ to be paid out to the company. Then the Yoga Company will perform the job and receive their proper payment. Not the most complicated, but mercenary work. Mercenaries. Oh goodness. Done. Actually, the music should be ending soon. Unless I just looped again. Fun fact, I changed my BGM, my background music, to set up the Cora acoustic guitar, because I love acoustic guitar. I don't watch VTubers. I know, sounds very odd when I have this man jiggling in the corner, but I actually don't watch VTubers. I think they're kind of strange. Like, this is coming from Anime Man himself. Like, VTubers are weird. They bamboozled my brain. Maybe I just haven't seen the right ones, but it's like... Okay, then. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird, not gonna lie. Kind of strange. Like, what you doing, girl? I think one of them's called the Shark Girl. It's like, that's kind of weird. I hate Amelia Watson, I think her name is. Fucking hate her. Her stupid fucking voice. I hate her voice. She's super fucking annoying. The only one I actually like because her voice is nice is Maury, I think. Maury Calliope. Her voice is nice. Even though I hate it when she screeches, but they always screech. I know some of the Japanese ones are fun because they don't understand what the fuck they're saying. Like, and I don't know if that's a positive thing, being that's like, thank God, I don't know what the hell you're saying, so I don't have to think about it too hard. Yeah, no, I've probably been like kicked out of a few servers already, being this like, you don't like VTubers, what are you? But I think let's ask to many. Should that be desired? Actually, can I put this on? Actually, what I can do, we can put this right under a regular warfare. I know I just sort of was like, oh, I'll change around. Yeah, no, I thought I was going to write a little bit more about. So we want to put something like, it would be like that then. Boom. Okay. Have all our different campaign types, and now I need to do blood and toil. Actually, no, it would be toil and boil. Actually, toil in on the front. Advancement, replacement, and legacy. We're actually going to put this right under campaign, so as the gains RQ, as your company loses men, suffers attrition, as well as gain RQ from their misadventures. They will need to improve themselves and their equipment. And their equipment quickly. In order, actually, rather than strictly have a level up system, actually no. The ogre company must replace their losses. And gain additional men by expending an amount of RQ. RQ similar to the time when it was first constructed. However, the costs are different, representing the change in situation. A commander will also need to purchase arms and armor for all of their men, or all of their new men as well as they do not come with quote starting equipment anymore. And then we're going to move here, and this is not the Colonial Expedition Forces anymore. We're going to put this right here. Line infantry. Actually, we need to go here. So it's 1 to 5 soldiers, so it's going to be 1 for 2 soldiers. Actually, no, 1 for 3. Grenadiers, 1 for 1. Let's double the cost here. Actually, we can probably do something like 2 for 1, pretty much double the cost of light cavalry. So 2 for 6 rather than the old method, which was 2 on 3. Pretty much all the costs have been doubled, which is kind of contrasting the Colonial Expedition Forces, which you can kind of see. Grenadiers cost 3, so let's say I need to replace, let's say 20 Grenadiers. That's going to cost me 60 RQ. Don't lose men in the Colonial Expedition. You do not get them back. Actually, I should change those to what they actually are. This would be Line Infantry Grenadiers. Actually, sorry. Oh, God, I forgot. I've got to change the names. Dragoons. Fusiliers. Actually, left, middle, black on black. The commander will also need purchase arms and armor for all their new men as well, so they might come with starting equipment. So what I'm going to do is... how do I want to do this? Okay, we're going to have to go make this a little bit janky, but we want to do a 2x2 table. We're going to put you in here. And then we're going to put a side note right there. I wonder, can I just make... Does not look like I can. I wonder if I can just make this one. Table properties, white. No, if I'm doing it, it's gonna have to be everything. Cool. Fuck. Okay. So for example, my units of Fusiliers, actually, we'll use my unit of Grenadiers, have suffered minor casualties from the last conflict, and I need to replace 30 of them. I need to both spend the 30. Let's say for example, a unit of Grenadiers with minor casualties from last conflict, and need to replace 30 of their own. Need to replace 30 men. Commander must spend 30 RQ to recruit the men. As well as actually heading 3, where 4, 5, 4? Yeah. 4 at 30 RQ, as well as equip them with their long-barreled muskets. Muskets at 0.2 RQ per soldier, coming to 15 RQ. Or 30 men to be replaced. 30 men to be replaced. The commander needed to spend 45 RQ on the unit. Now you're understanding where these numbers can get very high, especially if you have the colonial regiments. Because if you have the colonial regiments, oh no, look, Grenadiers cost 4 for 1. So to recruit those 40 men, I would need to spend 120 RQ. 120. Yeah. Per soldier as well, it would be another, so it'd technically be 135 RQ. And if you are getting, say, like 300 RQ a month, that's almost half of your RQ for 30 men. that's why it's like losses are kind of a big deal. You like this. Oh, I forgot you cannot tab while in. Fun fact, kids, you can't actually tab while you're in a table. Do I actually want to flip you around? I think I do want to flip you around. Oh, gosh. Yeah, for example, a unit of grenadiers. There's this kind of weird, awkward space right there, and I don't know how to fix that. Probably slap an image like right here. God. Unless, okay, here's what, new plan. We're going to stop trying to be fancy because being fancy is pain. We're instead going to be lazy about it. So, minor casualties. See, if there's one thing about Google Docs that I wish, that I dream and I hope that one day we'll eventually get, is to be able to actually use tables in a more reliable method. Because right now, these are all of the table options we have. And I would actually really like to have more options. So like, hey, I want to put this table like right here and then have this move down. Kind of like a more proper method of doing it. But it is also Google Docs and we don't have nice things. So I can probably slap an image like right here. So... But either if a unit replaces or adds up to a replaces, actually if a, how do I want to do, isn't always good either. If a unit were to gain 25% more untrained, more soldiers in the unit, or replace, let's see, it would be 25% more soldiers in the unit. Actually, yeah, from their current amount. Training and cohesion falls. Cohesion falls by one step. Should 50% of the should 50% or more be added to the unit, training and cohesion falls by 2. Should the unit require additional training, or it would require training or cohesion improvements, the same costs as the unit creation applies. So 40, 20, 30, 40, 50. So for example, so this is the example of how this would work. So let's say I have 100 men and I gain 25 I gain 25 men. My training, if let's say I'm at regulars, I would fall to recruit. I would lose 3 of my pips. Why? Because I've replaced more of my men at that point. That a chunk of them don't understand how the fight as well. We're losing ability to do things. We are replacing a lot more men than we're gaining. However, if I spend 20 RQ, I get to go back up to regulars and I get to add all my pips again. And same goes for cohesion. So if we go down to cohesion, if we're at say steeled and we gain 25% more men, again, 100 men isn't fucking anything. That's very, very small, but I'm just using an example. If we go up to 125 men, we go from steeled to hardened. If we were to go up to 150 men, we'd go from steeled to green because we have fit. Again, it's about at that point like a third of the unit's never seen combat before. They're going to break, and everyone else is going to start breaking. So that's kind of a way to encourage you to not throw your men away, because it's kind of a pain to get them back. But that also, if you trickle in little ones, again, if you have 100 and you add in 15 more men, nothing's going to change. But if you add in like a lot of men really quickly, then you're going to start seeing some issues. So the smartest thing to do is to trickle men in. It's okay to take attrition. It's not okay to like replace a unit wholesale. That's where things get complicated and people start like, that's what was kind of happening with Napoleon near the end there, because every member of the old guard who died was an irreplaceable loss because of how difficult it was to get people up to that level of training and ability. Every member of the young guard who died was, an astronomical loss. It was because those units were trained so heavily, and even losing a few of them would just bring down the entire unit in general. So weaponry also RQ to purchase. However, should a unit upgrade their equipment, they may sell back their weaponry at half the RQ cost, or give it to another unit, or simply store it for later. Because fun fact, if I have 1,000 guns and then I give everyone better guns, those 1,000 guns are still there. They're just in reserve now. They're just gone. They're over there. We don't got to worry about them. And if you need to outfit people, that's like an entirely valid thing to do. Okay. So let's see. So we've pretty much got advancement. We've got the campaign done. We understand how people are going to get better. We understand how people are going to get worse. And that does mean most units are going to remain relatively stable the entire game. But we also get things like, hey, if you want to improve your soldiers pretty quickly, it's 20 RQ to get from militia to trained, which is nothing. And at that point, you've immediately kind of become a lot better. It's like, oh, I'm doing something right. So, I think I'm going to call it there for today. everything is, we've made pretty good time. This entire section is done. We don't really got to think about or worry about it too much. Where are we, roughly speaking? Now it's really just the advanced rules on Monday. I have an idea of how I want to do things like this. Like, the advanced campaign is going to be things like army RQ costs, attrition, and just like kind of going a little bit more in the nitty gritty of things. Napoleonic scale, kind of went over that. Attache is literally going to be like people equipment, quote unquote, people equipment you can attach. And loyalty, I don't quite know how I want to do loyalty yet, so that may be scrapped, that may not be. I don't know how I want to do that. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you all tomorrow, hopefully, for the Curious Case of Powered by the Apocalypse games. We're going to go over a few different games, which I am not looking forward to, but I do it for entertainment. Also, take a look at the YouTube channel. A new video should be going up tomorrow for Sigmata, because I hate Sigmata. More accurately, I fucking hate Chad Walker. At that point, we're doing pretty good, pretty Gucci. Catch y'all on the flip side. Goodbye.